State Senator Lena Taylor. Thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Mitt Romney will spend a second day in Texas today where he's making his pitch to Latino voters.
This Obama economy has been hard, particularly on Hispanic businesses and Hispanic Americans. The rate of unemployment among Hispanic Americans rose last month to 11%.
His campaign also out with a new ad focusing on unemployment among America's Hispanic community. And joining me this morning is Kristian Ramos, contributor for NBC Latino and policy director for NDN's 21st Century Border Initiative. Kristian, it's great to have you here. And your latest piece on NBC Latino accuses politicians, members of the GOP in particular, of talking out of both sides of their mouth when courting Latino voters. You argue that while the party has pledged to dedicate itself to Latino voters, party members, they take a hard line against issues like immigration. Do you think it's an issue of duplicity or that the party doesn't have a cohesive platform on issues important to the Latino community to promote?
You know what? I think the Republican Party's real problem here is not in what they're saying, but in their core beliefs on issues that are critically important to the Hispanic community, like health care, like immigration, like education. They're far to the right on issues that matter in these things. Mitt Romney has spent the last year establishing himself as one of the most extreme presidential candidates on issues that are important to Hispanics. Let's start with immigration. He wants to veto the DREAM Act. He already did veto the DREAM Act as the Massachusetts governor. He's for self-deportation. On health care, which is an issue that's critically important to the Hispanic community, he wants to spend the rest of his campaign talking about revoking it. He wants to revoke that. On education, the Republican Party has established a view on this which would severely roll back federal funding for public education. This stuff hurts the GOP on a broad level. And then on the other side of this, if you're looking at sort of the surrogates here, let's talk about Marco Rubio for a little bit. A lot of people have been floating him as a potential VOP, as an olive branch to the Hispanic community. Let's just look for a second at his incredibly tortured rollout of a Republican version of the DREAM Act. What's critically important that people understand here is he has no bill. The president has said he would support and help him pass something. The Senate Majority Leader has also said they would help him pass something through the Senate if he would just produce a bill. You know why he hasn't produced a bill? Because nobody in the Senate Republican caucus wants to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. Compounding that problem for Marco Rubio is he has a tendency to go into Spanish language media and talk passionately about, finding a way to get a pathway to citizenship for Hispanic, constituents, and then he turns around in English language media and says, no way, Jose, no way are we going to have a pathway to citizenship on this thing. And at the end of the day, Hispanic voters see that. Whether you speak English or Spanish, 70% of Spanish-speaking Hispanics in this country are bilingual. Right? They're talking about this stuff. It's like being lied to
Kristian,
and then being insulted on top of that.
I want to show everybody, though, because we've got this recent NBC News Telemundo poll. It found the overwhelming majority of Latinos do support President Obama over Mitt Romney, 61 to 27%. The president's campaign making an aggressive push for this group. Romney now starting today. Do you think that the Hispanic community feels left behind and discounted in the process of what Mitt Romney is trying to put out there?
Well, you know what? Here's the real issue. Again, Mitt Romney is nowhere on a lot of these issues. He's far to the right on these issues as far as the Hispanic community is concerned. But let's look at Reince Priebus, the RNC chairman. He did the right thing. He went on El Punto, talked with Jorge Ramos about the importance of the Hispanic vote, and then was immediately undermined by Representative Pete King comparing immigrants to dogs. Look, this was a great opportunity for Mitt Romney to sort of say, look, this stuff is not the Republican Party that I know. This is not acceptable. He didn't say anything. And then Reince Priebus was asked about this in an interview, and he said that he had not heard these comments yet, and he could not comment on them because he hadn't heard them. Where is the leadership on that? I mean, this should just be a basic thing where it's not acceptable for anyone to compare people in general to animals.
Again, Mitt Romney campaigning through Texas today. We'll see if this push really works for him. Kristian Ramos, thank you. And if you want to hear more from Kristian and get an in-depth look at issues impacting the Hispanic community, visit NBCLatino.com. West Wing